Listen to him. He knows everything.
We're all going too fast, and we're going to die. Not by driving too fast, but by eating too fast, and by shopping too fast, and by having sex too fast. Eating too quickly causes gastrointestinal problems. Shopping too quickly means we're spending our monthly wages in the first week after we get it. And having sex too quickly can result in tragic headboard accidents. And a dissatisfied mate. But don't worry, because soon we'll all be killed in the global war of resources. At the current rate, we'll go through 3.5 planets' worth of resources to sustain our standard of life if every country lived like we do. And by having too much quick sex, we're growing our population by unsustainable levels so that we will be able to support only half of our population in 10 years' time. So phone a friend and ask them to conserve. But not in a mobile, as they'll kill you too. Mouth cancer, apparently. New study which shows that those who use their mobiles a lot will be making way at the food troughs for the rest of us. And if the food's gone when you get there, you can pop a vitamin pill, if you want the easy way out, because they'll kill you too. Apparently antioxidants, like vitamins A and E and beta-carotene, actually increase mortality rates when taken in pill form. But all this is moot, as the Earth will heat up and the melting ice will drown us all, except that maybe it won't. The planet is having one of its coldest winters in decades. Water at the poles is refreezing, snow is falling in record amounts, perhaps global warming isn't happening at all. There's a reason to be cheerful. I'll give my mates a bell on my mobile and we'll all run out for a quick vitamin smoothie to celebrate. And then it's straight down the Undertaker's to be fitted with the old wooden overcoat. Cheers, everybody. Is everybody happy? That was a very gloomy start, but the papers were just so full of it. I'm hard-pressed to pick a decent, like a happy story from any of it today. It was just one thing after the next. And this mobile phone thing is interesting. It keeps on going around and around and around. A little while ago, new research ruled out any link between the use of a mobile and increased risk of brain tumours. Scientists in Japan looked at the effects of headset radiation. They compared brain cancer patients with healthy people, found nothing to fear. Nothing to see here, they said. Professor... Holy smoke, how do you pronounce that? Anyway, he's a Japanese professor. He said, with new and more accurate techniques, we found no association between mobile phone use and cancer. On the other hand, people who are heavy users of mobile phones are 50% more likely to develop mouth cancer than those who don't use them at all, new research has shown. What, I mean, it's just, you can't believe a single word that anybody says anymore. And I don't just mean politicians now, I'm talking about scientists too. Can you please get together and have a conference, come up with a correct answer? Because for the longest while, vitamin pills were touted as the way to good health. And I've been popping vitamin pills for almost the entirety of my adult life. Enormous amounts of A and E and D, and I'll have a B, please, Bob, a B1, B6, B12. Any kind of B that you got, I took it. I'm on about 3 different types of B a day now, man. And then we come to find out that it's actually going to kill you. I stopped taking them because I thought, I wonder what'll happen if I stop taking them. I mean, I'm feeling like warmed up crap anyway. If I just stop taking them, will I actually feel worse? Will I feel better? Or will there be no difference? And having popped the pill, you know, these giant pills that look like horse tablets, stuffed full, how they get it all in there, I've got no idea. Science, probably. They cram it all in, and you can, you'd have to eat 1,000 apples to get the same amount of goodness that comes in this little orange pill. And having taken it for years, and felt, you know, dreadful my entire life, going to the doctor on virtually an hourly basis. I have an appointment on the hour every hour, just in case I need it. Most of the time I do. It's the doctor who raises his eyes to the ceiling as he sees me hove round the door. Oh, blimey, this bloke again. So I stopped taking them dead. I went cold turkey. Nothing happened at all. I didn't feel any different. I didn't get any iller. I didn't get colds, or my eyes didn't crust up. Nothing. So you'd have to think that it's all a giant... Well, I was going to use the word con, but that's not probably right. It makes sense. It's logical that you can't possibly get the goodness that you get from fruit and vegetables in pill form. There must be some things. I mean, you could analyse everything that's in, say, apple juice, and then come up with a list, and then you could make it artificially in the lab, and you could squeeze it into a nice little tablet. And then you could pop it, or you could grind it up and snort it, or, however you would want to take it. But there must be things in there that we have got no idea what they are, in much the same way that we don't know what the sixth sense is. We can't measure that either. There's intangibles in fruit and vegetables that, by eating a lot of them, we would do ourselves much more good than just by taking a pill that says it's got everything in it. And come to find out, just like mobiles, I'll finish the mobile thing just in case you want to reinvest in a landline. Cancer specialists in Tel Aviv University investigated the cases of nearly 500 Israelis diagnosed with benign and malignant tumours of the salivary gland. Now, that doesn't sound like fun. He said Israelis were quick to adopt cell phone technology and have continued to be exceptionally heavy users. Therefore, the amount of exposure to radio frequency radiation found in this study has been higher than in previous cell phone studies. And you'd have to think that a lot of people who are doing cell phone studies are being paid for by the mobile phone companies to come up with the answer that they're looking for. And also, logic suggests that it is doing you harm. Unless, of course, they're advertising with us, in which case you should merrily carry on phoning everybody. In fact, I would just pick numbers at random. Just give somebody a bell. Pass on some good cheer. But when I hold my mobile phone to my ear, I can't do it for more than about 30 seconds. I have to put it on speakerphone and hold it away from my head, because I feel like I'm boiling my brain. And I've got precious little brain left to boil. I can't afford to lose it. They found that those who had used the mobile phones against the side of their heads for many hours a day were 50% more likely to develop a tumour than infrequent users. Many other studies in recent years have found no increased risk of cancer through mobile phone use. And I'm in the absence of any further information, I'm going to go with the last one, the doom mongerer. It just makes sense. I think if you feel something is right, then you should go with your instincts. Obi-Wan. Vitamin pills. My instinct told me that they're a load of old rubbish as well. Unless, of course, they're advertising with us, in which case they're the cornerstone to any nutritious breakfast. People who take vitamins to cut their chance of getting more cancer, not more cancer, just cancer, could be doing more harm than good, a leading expert has warned. Consumers have long been advised by different studies that certain vitamins can lower the risk of contracting cancer. A new report from Copenhagen University found beta-carotene, vitamin A and vitamin E may increase mortality. Isn't that great? Not just not do you any good, not just sort of pass through and, get to pass out in urine. They're actually going to kill you. Researchers combined results of a number of clinical trials to judge the overall effects of vitamin pills. They found that in 47 trials involving 180,000-odd people, antioxidant supplements increased mortality by 5%. The very thing that's going to save you is doing you down. This is all negative so far, isn't it? I mean, I'm trying to present it in a positive way, but it's hard to do. Global warming. Now, this is actually positive. Maybe I'll save the positive for after the break. I'll tease you over the break for a little bit of positivity. Overpopulation. That's another negative thing. The United Kingdom is drastically overpopulated and could support only 17 million people if it had to provide for the current 60 million from its own resources. The UK has no hope of living sustainably unless every person's ecological footprint is reduced by more than 70%. So, in other words, we're screwed, because no one's going to do anything in order to improve their ecological footprint if it impinges on their happy, clappy lives. It predicts that if global population growth continues as expected, the world could be at war over resources in less than 50 years, and calls on government to advocate smaller families and increased use of contraception. Sharp intake of breath all round. The Pope will be very upset. The latest official figures show the number of people living in the UK is expected to hit 65 million within 10 years and top 70 million by 2031. You know, sometimes don't you feel that this is actually a great time to be like a grown-up, that you don't have any of this mess to look forward to? Because, you know, you can only expect 100 years worth of life, the last 30 of which I expect to be, completely What is it? Compos mentis. Yeah. I expect to be delirious over the last 30 years. I mean, I'm fairly delirious right now. Yet, even if Britain was carbon neutral, it would only sustainably support 40 million people with the same standard of living that we're experiencing today. It says, this report, that if the world consumed as much and generated the same waste as us in the UK, it would need 3.5 planets to sustain the human race. That's how wasteful we are. Isn't that staggering? To live sustainably, here comes the really bad news. British people would have to lead simpler lives, similar to people in China, Paraguay, Algeria, and Botswana.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Hands up anybody who wants to live like the people do in Botswana. Raj has got his hand up. You've got no idea what I'm talking about. Valerie Stevens, the chairman of the OPT, which is the Optimum Population Trust, says it shows how desperately we need a national population policy. If a few fewer of the people who spend all day long drinking Stella and watching Trisha had a few fewer dozen babies, then we'd all be better off. Just a thought. A controversial one, I know. I'll come back with the good news. Global warming doesn't exist. It's 7:45. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. Queen's Road in New Cross Gate is still complete.
A complaint.
He's right. 0845 6060 973. I know I haven't said anything much yet to join in about, but, you know, if there's anything that's occurring to you, that happened to you over the weekend, I want to talk about, maybe I should talk about this now. I was in the London's fashionable West End, minding my own affairs, when I was parked outside Anne shop in just off Bond Street, collecting some goods, and there was no identifiable parking space. So I thought, I'll stick it on the yellow line. I'll just nip in, get what I need, and nip out again. I was in there 30 seconds. I came out, two of them, hovering over my car they were, with a little machine of death. And I said, I only went in there to get this, and they said, oh, well, you should have put a note in your windscreen. Like that would have made any difference. Now, they had a problem with their machine. They couldn't pull the ticket out of it. And as they were dithering, I thought, oh, I'll just load up my car, and if they haven't managed, I'll just drive away. And so I did. They were I don't know what they were doing. Their little machine had gone on the blink. So, do I have to pay the ticket if they didn't put it on my car? I know that there was a suggestion that maybe I still have that that they were going to have the type of ticket that you don't actually have to. This was quite controversial. Maybe I do still have this. This might help me out.
Do you know if they took a picture?
No, I don't. Why would that make a difference?
Well, I think they're supposed to take a picture as well.
Yeah, what a picture, what a photograph.
Yeah, so if they haven't got any photographic evidence of you being there, I think you'd be all right.
Right, but what if they do?
Then I don't know. I don't know what the law is yet. I thought the ticket had to be physically on your car.
Yes, but they're trying to bring in legislation. I guess I don't have it. I carry stories around for about a week or so, and if I haven't used them, then I just throw them away. Because otherwise I'd have, I've got about 50 in front of me at the moment. Otherwise I'd have thousands. There would be no desk visible. Wouldn't be able to use my, all of my exciting buttons.
Yes.
But I know that there were plans afoot to make it such that traffic wardens didn't have to be anywhere near your car to give you a ticket. They just had to say that they saw you, and then you were, banged to rights, and then you had to prove otherwise. You're guilty until proven innocent. So they didn't even have to be anywhere near your car. In fact, the suggestion was that they could just make this stuff up.
They might just start doing it over the internet now. Email you.
Yeah. So they could actually, if they didn't have to provide evidence that you had parked somewhere you shouldn't have done, they could just stand at a street corner and just write down number plates and just, hand them all in. And they're bound to get, a pretty decent hit rate, because not everybody will question it, will they? They'll just pay up. You'd think at least 50% would just shrug their shoulders and pay, especially when the threat of double the fine is hanging over you. They give you a fine, and they say it's half price if you pay within a couple of weeks, something like that. And so it's not half price. The fine is, I think it's £40, isn't it? The fine is actually 40, but they'll double it if you don't pay it within 2 weeks. This is not an £80 fine that they reduce by half if you pay it within 2 weeks. It's the other way around. It's a £40 fine that they'll double if you don't pay it in 2 weeks, but they sell it to you as a positive. You see that? Psychological, that is. Positive thinking. So, the possibilities for abuse in a system like that, where they don't actually have to take a photograph of your car, boom, what a picture. They can just write it down. They don't even have to be in the same town. But I just wondered if that's the case now. Do they actually have to physically put it on your windscreen and photograph it there? Because is that what the photograph is of? It on your windscreen? Or just your car in that place?
Your car in that place, I think.
So they don't have to photograph the thing on your windscreen?
Just the offence.
Okay. Right.
Not that I'm admitting to any offence, of course. This is just all hypothetical. You understand that, don't you? Boreham Wood, Israel.
Good evening, Nick.
How are you going?
I'm not too bad, and yourself?
Yeah, super. Thanks for asking.
The good news is
Yeah.
The ticket hasn't been served correctly, so therefore it doesn't stand. The cheeky little beggars will more than likely say that they did stick it in your windscreen, and you may well finally get a notice to owner in 28 days' time. And if and when you do, you challenge it and you ask for evidence that the ticket was served properly. Now, are you sure they just had a problem printing the ticket, or were they having a problem entering the information?
I don't know. The two of them were fiddling with their little machine there, and you know what? Half of me thinks they were trying to cancel it by taking pity on me, and then the other half, the realistic half of me,
highly unlikely.
Yes, is laughing its face off at the suggestion that they would be doing that. So I just think they were having trouble entering it or getting the ticket out or whatever it is that they do.
Do you know if they had a close look at your windscreen, and did they note your tax list number down?
I've no idea.
Honest truth, how long were you inside the shop for?
Oh, less than a minute.
Less than a minute?
Yeah.
Well, it takes a warden approximately a minute to enter the details onto his computer properly. So if you genuinely, when they're less than a minute, I would hazard a guess that they did not have sufficient time to note down your tax list number, which is a required element of the ticket. And that's what they normally rely on to prove that your vehicle was there and actually had a close look at it.
Right.
If and when you do receive a notice to keeper, ask for proof that the ticket was served correctly, and ask if they noted down the details of your vehicle excise licence, and also ask to see copies of the warden's notebook and see what they come back with. Now, if they haven't had a chance to note down your vehicle excise licence number, you'll get a letter back from the council saying, on this occasion, they decided to take no further action. If he did note it down, then they may try and come up with some. They will come up with this note saying that the warden did affix a ticket to the window, in which case you ask for the photographic evidence. The photographic evidence they provide is of the ticket actually in situ on your windscreen.
Right, well, they ain't got that. Ha-ha!
It sounds like you have them well and truly snookered. Which borough did this take place in?
Bond Street, Westminster, right?
Westminster. Definitely challenge it, and I'd say about 80-90% certainty they will drop it. I had a cheeky little beggar in Westminster Borough trying to give me a ticket a couple of months ago when I dropped a colleague off whilst I was on the job, and it was pouring down with rain.
Yeah.
And I saw him standing off my car, punching details into his computer, and I went around the block, came back, and he's still standing, and I videoed him in situ doing it, and I bumped into him later on, and I had a chat. I said, by the way, did you stick me on? He said, yes. What's happened to the ticket? I've got it in my pocket, and he showed it to me. I thought, That's very nice of you. And when the notice to keeper came in, I challenged it, and Westminster Council dropped it.
Right.
And I do that on a regular basis. If they haven't served it properly, they haven't conformed to the regulations, challenge it.
You do it on a regular basis?
Regular basis. If I get a ticket that's unfair, that hasn't been issued fairly,
right.
I will challenge it.
Right. But you're a regular breaker of the law, though?
No. If I've broken the law, I'll pay and I'll claim it back as an expense. In my line of work, we regularly get paid for receiving parking tickets. But if they haven't done their job properly, and they try and stitch me up, I will always challenge it.
Right. I think it's probably best to just challenge it anyway. I mean, you know,
definitely.
You can't lose, can you?
Exactly, because when you challenge it, it puts action on hold. So if they do have the right evidence and you feel you haven't got reason to argue the ticket, you can still pay at the reduced fee.
Oh, yeah.
They will try and
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, they will try and make you believe that if you challenge it, you lose the opportunity to pay the ticket as a reduced fee. So you wait for them to come back with the evidence if they have it, and if you feel it's sort of 50-50, you make a judgment call whether you want to make representations or spend an hour at the PTS, it was the parking I think PTAS is called as a parking tribunal.
Oh yeah. Can you take sandwiches?
Yes, you can.
Can you?
You can't. You can take your mobile phone there, but it has to be switched off.
Right. Okay, well, that sounds like a good day out. I'll see you there.
You have a good one.
Thanks a lot. 0845 6060 973. Not that I'm actually saying that any of that happened. This is all hypothetical, you understand? This is just for fun. No prizes will be allotted. Let's have Feltham. Hello, Chris.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
All right, thanks.
Not paranoid yet, are you?
A little bit, yeah. About everything, you know.
Did you watch that film the other day?
Which one?
Zeitgeist.
No. Was I supposed to?
Yeah. Oh,
Did I say I was going to watch that? Or is it on YouTube?
No, you'll get it on Google Video.
Oh, right, okay. Hey, I tell you what, there's an excellent thing on YouTube. It's the most... I wish I was American, so I could vote for him. Maybe I'll talk about this as we come back. You know, political speech...
Ron Paul?
No. You know, political speeches are really, really interesting.
Boring.
That's right. Well, in America, they have put together about the most inspirational political speech I think I've ever seen in my life. But they've set it to music, and it's an internet sensation. Chris, I'm going to have to go because here comes the new news. Coming up towards 8 o'clock, this is LBC.
Everyone, I have an announcement.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. I've even found this story about the ticketing on site for traffic wardens. It says the number of unfair parking fines issued to drivers will soar under new rules allowing wardens to ticket on site. From 31st of March, motorists will no longer be able to dodge a penalty by driving off before a parking attendant has had a chance to ticket their vehicle. Yes! So that means I'm legal, decent, honest and true. If I did actually do this hypothetical thing that I was making up earlier on.
Guilty.
Motoring Group said it would create a free-for-all with wardens hiding behind bushes to maximise the number of tickets they issued. If a warden sees you pause on a yellow line for just a few seconds while you check a map, he will consider you fair game for a ticket. All he needs is your registration number. What defence will the driver have? By the time you get the ticket in the post, how could you possibly remember the circumstances? The opportunities for fraud under the new system will be breathtaking. The change will lead to a huge rise in the number of people appealing against unjust tickets. The London Council Transport Director Nick Lester said, if a ticket is challenged, the council will still have to find convincing evidence the vehicle was there at the time. If it came down to one person's word against another, it would be surprising if a driver did not win a lot of the time. The new rules will change things, but we don't know yet how substantially. So, it looks like I got away with it. Buckhurst Hill, rather. Howard.
Hello?
Hey, Howard.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
You just said exactly what I was going to tell you about. Without sounding like a nerd, if you like, I know a lot about this situation. The last fella you had on was telling you pretty much accurate information, except you don't really need to go too in-depth. When you write to appeal against it, just quote, and this is the geeky bit, quote the Road Traffic Act 1988. And I can almost quote verbatim what it says. Basically, a ticket is not valid if it isn't placed on the windscreen of your vehicle unless the parking attendant is prohibited from doing so from either, from violence or the threat of violence, or the ticket is issued by a CCTV camera.
Right. So the fact that I used a cattle prod, would that be considered violence?
No, I think it's considered well-deserved.
Oh, right, OK.
But, yeah, if you just say that, and the photographs that they take are literally to prove that the ticket was placed on the windscreen.
Right. Well,
so
hurrah!
Just tell them that.
I've just written that down. Road Traffic Act 1988.
But it is going to change come April.
I know, boo. All right, thanks very much, Howard.
No problem.
Cheers, ta-da.
Bye-bye.
It's as though we're in a siege mentality here. I mean, as soon as you mention parking on the air, parking or speeding fines or, any of that sort of thing, the phones light up like it's Christmas. Don't they? And people just go berserk. They can't wait to vent their spleen on the air about this stuff. But you talk about anything else, and people, phone calls will dribble in ones and twos. Let's talk about the death of the planet. Everyone's sitting on their hands, not remotely interested. What's on TV, they say. Talk about parking, people's heads explode.
My dad was lied to by a traffic
Really?
warden
That's
a few
nice.
weeks ago.
What?
My dad was deliberately misled by a traffic warden once.
Oh, yeah.
He said, where's the nearest private car park? Because he didn't want to take a risk. We were in central London.
Yeah.
And the traffic warden said, yeah, if you go to the end of the road, and just on the side there's a motorcycle lane, but you can park there, it's fine, don't worry.
What?
And then, so my dad obviously wasn't going to trust him, and he checked it with that council, and they said, no, you can't park there, you would have got a ticket.
Well, yeah.
And as we walked to where we were going, there's a gang of about 5 of them just waiting.
Boo! The surprising thing is that there isn't more... Well, I don't know, should I even say this? Yeah, I'm not advocating it, but the surprising thing is that there isn't more violence against traffic people.
But they do, I noticed now they do hang out in gangs.
Well, that's true, yeah.
So there probably is the threat of violence hanging over their heads all the time. But they hang out. And I noticed, there's a place I park, a sneaky place, on the way here sometimes, and they hang out near there. But then they can't cover that. It's a different parking authority.
Right. Because I have a little sneaky place that I park as well that's on a yellow line, because often I don't... I mean, today I bought one of those overpriced congestion charge tickets anyway. Have you noticed, by the way, that if you try and get a receipt from your congestion charge thing, you pay it, and the line comes and says, here's your customer, your customer number for this ticket. Press view, it says, and then you'll get a full page that you can print out. And you press view, and it loads for the rest of the day, and it doesn't come up as something that you can print out. It just doesn't appear. And you can click it and click it and click it until you are blue in the finger, and nothing will happen. They've got to get that sorted out. I want my receipt. Damn it!
Is that online?
Yeah.
Because whenever I do my recept, I get it emailed and it's fine.
Right.
So try that.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do that straight away. Here's Sutton. Hello, Solomon.
Oh, 1 second, Nick. I'm just in the...
OK, take as much time as you like, mate. It's a live show.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thank you.
I think he's reversing.
I'm not. Cheers. Bye, love. Bye. Thank you very much.
All right, cheers, love.
Thank you.
Bye. Wow, this is what it sounds like in the Terminator's head.
Sorry about that, Nick.
That's all right.
Got to take the fare, haven't I? Sorry.
Of course, yeah. Did you get a tip?
Yep, 20p.
20p?
It's better than nothing.
20p?
20p.
You should have thrown it back at her.
Oh, you can't do that. Not in today's...
what was the fare?
£9.80.
Oh! Keep the change. Here's a tenner. That is disgraceful.
Oh, shall I call her back and you can have a go at her?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Nick, you absolutely must challenge this ticket. Right. I'm a professional at challenging Westminster. They are absolute rogues at the job.
Well, if I was in that place, then technically he's quite right. I should have got a ticket if I had been there. You know, I mean, of course I wasn't, because I'm a good boy. I am.
You're a good lad, but
yeah.
But even so, I mean, all the time they're giving me tickets, and rightly so, because I'm always illegally parked. But
you're a cabbie, though.
I'm a cabbie. That's right.
Yeah, you're supposed to be a law unto yourself.
Well, that's right. That's what this thing is around my neck.
Yeah.
A law above my... Anyway, but what I'm saying is, it's going to be psychologically a roller coaster ride for you.
No.
You'll get death threats, solicitors' letters, and all from the council.
Death threats?
You must stay in that position that this ticket is illegally issued,
yes.
and you'll win. They'll leave it to the 11th hour, and they'll send you a bailiff's letter. You've got to pay us 180 quid, otherwise it's going to go up to 240 quid. And, you'll think, oh, my God, I better pay this. This is just getting out of control. But at the 11th hour, they'll send you a ticket. Please, we're so sorry we gave you a ticket. You're in the right, and you'll walk away with a massive smile. Don't let them get to you, mate.
Right.
You'll win.
Okay. Now, see, I don't know. You could be setting me up for a giant fall. I could be spending the rest of my life in prison from following this advice.
No, Nick, you'll be fine. I'm telling you. Early this week, I got a letter from the Lambeth Council saying, we're not challenging this ticket, and one from Westminster Council that we're not challenging this ticket. Right. You have to gum up the appeal system, because they just can't afford to send people to fight all these challenges unless there's 100% certainty they're going to win, and they can't.
Right. Okay. Now, if I lose...
I'll pay it for you.
All right. Now, take this man's name and address. I mean it.
All right, mate.
I'll give you more than a 20p tip if you ever... when you take me to Pentonville...
Yeah.
I'll give you the extra £5, all right.
All right, thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate.
I'll charge you £40, exactly what the fine is.
Right, well, £5 is more than 10%, eh?
Right, thanks very much, Nick.
Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. As all of London that's listening to this right now, their heads explode into the small muffled explosions are people's brains popping inside their skulls as they contemplate the parking regulations in this daft town. Call after call after call. Stansted. Paul.
Hello, Nick. Lovely show, mate. You make me die, you do.
Well, you've got to have a laugh, ain't you?
You have to when you get these tickets through your door, ain't you? Nick, like the gentleman's right just now. You have to challenge them. They all that happens is it goes to Haymarket, where three gentlemen sit in a desk, and they wait for the parking ticket to come to them. When they get it, all they know is that you've been issued a fine, you're not paying it. That's all they know.
Right.
Once you tell them your story, they then lean and go, all right, we'll abort it, we'll get rid of it, boom, don't worry about it. It's the same as the traffic warden. He must issue your ticket, write your tax registration number down in his book. That is legal document. Once he's wrote that down, that is you summons for a ticket. That means that you was part of it. But if you drive away before he slaps it on the windscreen...
Yeah.
He must take a photograph of it. If he doesn't do that, then you've got away with it. It's happened to me many a times. If he doesn't issue that on the windscreen and takes a photograph of that this with your ticket on it, that's not legal tender.
I'm very glad to hear it, Paul.
It's a pleasure, Nick.
HAPPY, that's me. Thanks very much, mate.
Pleasure.
Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. Already the day's looking better. And lighter. Have you noticed? I mean, it seems about this time of the year, every year, it doesn't seem to get lighter gradually. It's like, boom, there it is. Hey, suddenly I'm a rap star. It's true. You're leaving the house and it's a bright white light outside. The birds are still chirruping, but they're crazy round my way. 24 hours a day, night. Well, they don't know what's going on any more than anybody else does. I mean, the crocuses are out. The daffs are out, the buds are on the trees, there's blossom, great clouds of blossom on the trees up and down our street. Oh, it's beautiful. Well, it would be if there weren't, the dead animals lying in the road and the piles of rubbish and, old fridges you have to negotiate, that sort of thing. But that's Wandsworth. 8:15. Travel news on LBC with Steve Reed.
Thanks, Nick. Queen's Road in New Cross Gate.
I really like you. Do you like me?
No. Clive Ball was right, by the way, when he was talking on that little advert that you just heard during the course of that break about cycle lanes. And I thought this as well, because Ken Livingstone has proposed all of these cycle lanes crisscrossing London, north, south, east and west. And my thought was, well, where are you going to put them then? I mean, there's cycle lanes around where I am, and probably where you are too. Some of them are a good 6 foot long, and I'm not making that up. There's actually a cycle lane that's 6 foot long near where I live. What's the point of that? You could just about squeeze a bicycle on it, but it can't go anywhere. So you'd have to drop in from space. You'd actually have to parachute in with your bike to get on it. Or drive there and unload by the side of the road.
But then you'd be static once you were on it.
That's right. The whole world's gone crazy.
So you'd have to take like an exercise bike or something.
Mm-hmm. That's right, yeah.
Pedal in place.
Of course. Now it makes sense. So I don't know where he's going to put these roads. Where's he going to put them? Because there's no extra road space. You'd have to knock down houses to provide extra cycle lane space. So he's going to take pavements away. But you can't do that for health and safety reasons. And you can't mix cycles with pavements as they do in some parts up my way. Excuse me.
You could put them underground.
Or overground.
That's
like
solving
elevated.
the problem of pavements and cycle lanes colliding, and also it stops people getting on it.
That's right. Or you can make bicycles. You could fit engines to the bicycles and another 2 wheels and like 4 seats, and they could just use them as cars on the road. Would that be a good idea?
I used to cycle everywhere up until like my early 20s. And I just think the amount of cyclists I see on my way home with no lights in London, I think
they're crazy.
You've got to be nuts.
These people are insane, and they're dressed from head to foot in black as well.
And I've got sympathy for cyclists just because I used to do it so much. But I think you're not helping yourself.
No, exactly right. And you know, as a car driver, we're not looking for you cyclists. I know you get very upset when we knock you off your little bicycles, but we're not watching for you.
There's a million other things.
Yeah,
to watch
exactly.
for.
We're scratching. We're opening a bottle of champagne and.
Read the book.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. We're trying to figure out where the hell we are on our little sat-nav device, or, more accurately, trying to find out where the sat-nav device is, because some hoolie has nicked it from your car. So there's many things that are on our minds, and you are the absolute last of them. So don't get upset and bash our roof as we go by and cut you up. Nothing to do with us, Governor. Central London. Hello, Terry.
Hi, Nick. Talking about parking, I know you've probably got off with this one at the moment, but I think there's more dangers afoot with these new CCTVs that are currently shooting up everywhere. I got one the other week, and all I could make out from the little picture they sent me was my number plate. When I went to the Westminster site to look, you can view the images and you can view the video footage.
Really?
Yeah.
What
and,
site?
When I've gone to look at the images, you can see it's a single yellow line that I parked on. I don't know if I mentioned I'm a cab driver, but a single yellow line. And you can see my brake lights on and the stop, the one on the parcel shelf as well, so that there could be no mistake that they was the stop lights. You can see all the 3 lights on.
Well, that could just mean that you're slowing.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, what's happened is you can see the images and you can see that I'm there for a total of 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Yeah, you evil criminal, you.
Yeah, 1 minute 5 seconds with brake lights on, and then if you, I downloaded the image to my computer and then zoomed in, and you can actually see a passenger in the back of the cab.
Oh yeah.
Now, what really annoys me on this one is it looks like that they purposely. There's no way that he could have zoomed in on my number plate just to reveal it on that penalty notice without noticing the brake lights was on. Anyway, I've just queried it and they dropped it, and I've had no. Nothing else. They sent no notice saying that it's been dropped or anything like that. No apology. Nothing.
Yeah,
That's all you get.
Huh. Now, you say a website that you can go to and see footage from cameras.
When you get your penalty notice,
right.
It says that on there. It says that you can view the images at the site, so you can go there and look at them. But the danger is that I read in the Standard a few months back, well, it was last year. September, October sometime, that they was going to cut down on wardens and they was going to increase the cameras.
Right,
and at that time, Westminster only had 30, and by the end of 2008, there's going to be 2,000.
Oh. I noticed a lot of very suspicious-looking cameras driving around town today, like a lot of the type of cameras that I haven't seen before. And I know that they'll say, "Oh, well, that's the CO2 thing," but I don't believe that that's the end of it. Being a conspiracy theorist, I believe that these are multi-use cameras, and they'll be sticking it to us in some way that they haven't even dreamt up yet.
Well, they are. These new ones, the old ones used to be the sort of beige box, and you could see which way they're facing.
Right.
But the new ones that they're using...
They're black and evil-looking, yeah.
They're little black dome, like an upturned dome, and you can't see which way the camera's facing.
Nasty.
But I mean, you know, if I've got that for 1 minute and 5 seconds, and I'm just stopped. I mean, that means that if there's going to be 2,000 around, I mean, what if we stop to look at the A to Z? We're going to get a ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, I've successfully appealed my last 4 tickets. But the thing is, it's the time involved. I mean, sometimes if you go up there...
Well, I know. I mean, if they have... if they cancel the ticket, then they are accepting... are they accepting guilt on their part, or they're just accepting that they can't prove guilt on yours? But either way, it's, as you say, an enormous amount of time, and you should bill them for that.
Yeah, well, I heard on so I think someone on this show the other week suggested that... They should be, you know, they should give like a token compensation or something, you know, and I think that would be fair, you know.
Well, we can hold our breath for that, Terry.
Yeah, I know, but anyway.
All right. Well, excellent. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thanks, bye.
0845 6060 973. I'd like to talk about many various other things other than parking. I know that as soon as you mention parking, London's, the blood pressure goes right up and everyone's leaps to the phone. Because we're just so annoyed about it, generally, and you just take it, and we take it, and we take it, and we take it, and thank you, sir, may I have another? But every now and again, you either have to let off steam, or you'll grow a tumour on your brain the size of a baseball. And this is one of those forums in which you can let off steam. I've only ever had 2 parking tickets. Is that true? No, I lied. Liar! 3. And I questioned 2 and got one. I got 1 let off. One of them was so bizarre. I mean, I know I've said this before, but I came out absolutely certain that I'd parked my car on a street. I was working at AN Other Station. And I thought my car had been nicked. But no, I go to that nasty car pen just underneath Hyde Park Corner there. And they'd taken it away. Mine, along with hundreds and hundreds of other dissatisfied customers, all queuing up to hand over their 200 quid with a mumbling and grumbling. And I'm absolutely convinced that they picked my car up and put it down in another street and photographed it and then took it away again. Either that or I've lost my mind. No, Nick, you haven't lost your mind. Come on, Rog, jump in here. But the other one was, and I know I've said this as well, and I don't care, it's in me and it's got to come out. 1 minute past midnight, on a Sunday night, 1 minute past 12, in the rain, my car was ticketed, and they said I had 1 wheel on the pavement, which was absolute blooming rubbish, because the pavement... Well, it was huge. About how big would you say that is?
We're looking at 10 inches.
Precisely. And I'm not exaggerating. And so I took a photograph of it. I said, I'd need a blooming tractor to get up that high. And I got my little measuring stick out. What are they called? Rulers. It's ages since I did maths. You know, rulers. Took a little photograph. Popped it in the post, and they said, oh, well, all right then. But you've got to get it off your chest, eh? Because if it sits on there, then it'll kill you. I'm on many... Have you got any pills in there, Raj? I think I could do with a couple right now. What colour are they? Green and red and yellow and blue? Huh?
Blue.
Blue! I'll have a couple... I'll have a couple of blue ones. In fact, give us 4, and I'll send a couple of Keith. He can show them to Amy, tell her what not to take. Do you believe that? The Rolling Stones are wagging their finger at Amy Winehouse, telling her not to take drugs. Well, actually, that's an excellent advert for being abstemious. In fact, I think that's what Keith Richards said. Don't take drugs or you'll end up looking like me. If you live to be 300 years old. Although, you'd have to say it hasn't done them very much harm. I mean, I know that one of them died. But under suspicious circumstances. But the rest of them, well, fame and fortune. And that seems to be the way. You pick up the Super Soaraway and the double page on the inside of all these successful people, you know, people who have made something of their lives. They're all snorting and popping and drinking and, well, probably puking too. It's the way to riches and to fortune, ladies and gentlemen. At least that's what we're led to believe.
LBC
97.3 at 8:30.
you can talk to me.
We've banned smoking inside, so is it fair to crack down on street smoking? And should you need a licence? Is one of the topics that's going to be talked about on the Nick Ferrari Show tomorrow. Has the UK lost its appeal for Polish people? Is another. And it's a year since the Western extension of the congestion charge. You'll be able to have your say about that. And it seems to work with young children, so what's philosophy all about? He's going to squeeze all that in one show. Nick will be explaining philosophy tomorrow. That's with Nick Ferrari tomorrow as he deals with the topics of the day, weekdays from 7 a.m. Now, some of the other things, apart from parking, I mean, I know there's a boatload of people who want to talk about parking, one of which is Tony. Hey, Tony.
You all right?
I'm all right. Just 1 second, yeah?
Yeah.
The pace of life. Apparently, we're all going far too quickly. The Brits are on Wednesday. We're going to be having a live report from the Brits as they happen on Wednesday. The student dropout rate is absolutely gigantic, and it's all costing us a fortune. I'd like to talk about that. Teachers are going off work with stress. Some are taking a year off because they're stressed. So perhaps you have something to say about that. And then politicians are all over the weekend. They were like dropping like dominoes, really. Not literally, but figuratively. In their reputations were falling. There's calls for Alistair Darling to go, the Speaker of the House, who is, I think, in charge of the MP's expenses investigation. His expenses are being questioned. There's a minister who this is. I'll pass over that, and I'll come back to that later because it's all quite complicated. Very difficult to nutshell it for you. And then MP's expenses in general. You can clean up your internet profile if you Google yourself. Have you ever Googled yourself, Raj?
Yeah, once or twice.
Yeah, I bet you have. Yeah. Well, what comes up is not to your liking, you can actually expunge it. You can clean the internet of any negative reports about yourself. And apparently a lot of celebrities are doing this. Costs a huge amount of money. But there's a way around it. There's a way of getting to the good stuff. Not just the BS, which is what you'll be faced with. There's a way to wheedle your way into, the salacious gossip, which I believe is what the internet is all about. Unsubstantiated rumours and lies.
When I googled myself, it came up with a picture of Superman.
Kenley, hello, Tony.
Hello, mate. I did ring up about parking fees. Could I just say one thing about something you were talking about a week or so ago? These 500 cannabis users that are taken into hospital every week. For want of a better word, where are they magicking these beds up from?
I don't
Good question.
Well, I don't think this is back a little while away, and I can't remember the exact statistics, so I'll make them up. I think the government said something like 500
right.
a week, but that's actually untrue. It's not 500, it's like 6.
Yeah.
There's a little disparity in the figures there, but, that's what we expect.
Yeah. Now, on the subject of parking tickets, I did actually, or was given one, when I was in a loading bay outside my office, and I was loading. I had a box of papers, and I was in there no more than 2 minutes, came down, and there's 3 Herberts were standing there giving me a ticket.
Yeah.
And I pointed out, and they couldn't speak English, basically. And this chap pointed up to the sign which said, loading 1 hour, no return within 2 hours. And I said, what is this? Or words to that effect.
Right.
Anyway, carried on giving me the ticket. So I wrote off to the council, I'm not going to name it, saying this is what happened, and they said it doesn't agree with their warden's notes. So that took about 5 weeks to come back. Well, I sent the letter back to them, because me being me, saying, your warden's either lying or his notes are wrong.
Right.
And if you don't cancel this ticket, I'll see you in court, and I want to see his work permit. I've got a letter back in 4... I swear to you, oh, my son's like, I've got a letter back in 4 days saying cancelled.
Right.
So if they were indigenous English, then you can't do anything about that. But if the people that gave you the ticket weren't, I'd have a go at that one.
Interesting. All right. Thanks very much, Tony. Cheers. You see what I mean? Everybody just wants to, we feel like we're under the cosh. We actually really do. We feel like we're being, we're being abused. That's the feeling that you get. And almost as like a Dunkirk spirit, it's where we're all coming together as one, like we're at war. It sort of feels like that, doesn't it? There aren't many issues that you can get Londoners all thinking along the same lines, and this is one of them, because we feel like we're being, taken advantage of, really.
I'd love to hear from a traffic warden and hear what their motivation is. To just go ticket happy on us all.
Their motivation is simple. They're trying to put food on their table just like the rest of us. When they sign up to that job, they're given targets. That awful two-syllable word that is causing problems in every area of society. For instance, the ambulance is stacked thing. They were talking about this on Drive as well. Maybe I'll throw this in here. Targets seem to have the exact opposite effect to their to that which was intended in almost every respect. Government targets, and I'm sure that I know that most of these traffic organisations aren't run directly by the government, but I'm sure that they're given targets either by the relevant councils, by way of you must raise this amount of money or whatever, or the companies involved give targets to the poor soaps who have to go and walk the streets. What an awful job. I mean, you might as well have a flashing sign on your head saying, word I can't say on the radio. You know? Or a sign on your back saying, kick me. Literally or metaphorically. I mean, is there a more disliked profession? That's not quite the right word, but a job to do than being a traffic warden. I kind of feel sorry for them because they don't want to be a traffic warden. You don't go through school and dream of being a traffic warden for the rest of your life, do you?
No, but I wonder why they do it. I mean, you know what's going to happen to you as soon as you step out with the machine and stand by someone's car. Even if you just stood by someone's car and did nothing, dressed as a traffic warden, you'd get some sort of abuse.
Well, that's right. But then you could say the same for being a policeman.
Maybe they like the uniform. I mean, there's like a bit of power, isn't there? So
maybe they like the uniform. Can you believe that, Patrick?
Yeah, I can believe anything, and you'll believe anything after what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
We have a picture sent to us by one council, because we're a courier firm, with the notification saying your driver was parked in a loading bay and no evidence of loading was there.
Right.
The picture they sent us, well, the picture we saw on the site was the van with the license plate, the doors open, the driver's legs hanging out of the back of the van, 4 parcels sitting on a trolley on the ground next to the driver.
Right. No evidence at all.
No evidence at all of loading.
No.
And that's what they sent us.
Bang to rights.
But, so you got to waste time dealing with that.
Yeah.
It's just all about money. They're just chancing their arm, and most people say, "Oh, I'll just pay it."
Exactly. I think it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Some of it will stick.
Yeah, right. That's what they do. They're counting on you, not challenging them.
Yeah.
Now, if we all, like you said, like the Dunkirk spirit, do what the French do. Just challenge on maths. Just challenge your maths and just say no more. Yeah. We'll challenge every single ticket, and that's what I urge everyone to do. Do what I do. I challenge every single ticket, right, wrong, or indifferent. Every single one. I ask for the ombudsman's form to fill in. I'd just do it all. You know, because sometimes the girls have exhausted the channels that they go through in the office, and they give the ticket to me because in the end it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
And I just go and go and go and go and go. And I think I've paid maybe 2 in the past year out of quite a few.
So it sounds like it's definitely worth sticking up for your right.
Definitely, it costs them money to get that.
For your rights to break the law,
well,
and then try and get away with it.
Well, I don't know if it's breaking the law. Are you really breaking the law? Is it a law? Or is it just something the council have made up?
Made up, yeah. Well, what's the difference?
Well, the thing is, if you're on one side of the road on any given evening, you might be, for instance, you live in Wandsworth, you might be somewhere in Clapham, which borders Wandsworth and Lambeth.
Right.
Right? How can it be the law that you're allowed to park on one side of the road at that given time, and against the law for you to park on the other side of the road at that given time.
Patrick, the whole world's gone crazy.
Madness.
All right, I'll do that. But thanks a lot, mate. All right.
You're welcome.
0845 6060 973. I will do that. But you start to get nervous. They send you a thing in the post that says you must pay this. If you don't pay this by 2 weeks, then it'll be double. And then you might think of riding that out, but then you get another one that says, well, you haven't paid this. Now, if you don't pay in the next 2 weeks, then it'll be double that. And then we'll come around and we'll take your telly away. So you do, I can imagine that you would begin to crumble. And perhaps that's what they're counting on. But I shall not crumble. I shall stand firm. On the beaches and, everywhere else. I can't remember what the rest of that speech is. And I shall never surrender. It's 8:44, almost. LBC Travel with Steve Reed.
Thank you. Now, Queen's Road in Newcastle.
I don't like that kind of talk. Now, just stop it. It upsets me.
I mentioned this ambulances being stacked. This is incredible. Seriously ill patients are being kept in ambulances outside hospitals for hours, so NHS trusts do not miss government targets. Thousands of people a year are having to wait outside accident and emergency departments because trusts will not let them in until they can treat them within 4 hours, in line with the Labour pledge. See what I mean by government targets never have the effect that they intended or stated? The hold-ups mean ambulances are, of course, not available to answer fresh 999 calls. Figures obtained by the Lib Dems show that last year 43,576 patients waited longer than an hour before being let into emergency units. I mean, what can you say to that? Only 7 out of 11 ambulance trusts responded to the survey, so the true figure could be higher. Labour brought in the 4-hour A&E target to end the scandal of patients waiting for days in casualty or being kept on trolleys in corridors. And I've mentioned this before, because I know somebody who works in the NHS. And they told me this, and I've said this on the air several times. And I think it's worth repeating, because you hear it and you think, oh, yeah, right. That'll never happen. That's absolute rubbish. But when they brought in this 4-hour A&E target... And let's face it, if you go into accident and emergency, then you really are at your last, your wit's end. I mean, there's actually something wrong with you, right? So you should be seen within 4 hours. I mean, what kind of a third world health service are we running here? 4 hours? Can you imagine it? Well, I can, because I've done it. Your bottom becomes fused to that plastic seat, which is, by the way, the world's most uncomfortable seat. But at least the company you keep is so pleasant. Where do those people come from? The Department of Health said, oh, no, it's not. Which is, of course, as you'd expect. But what I was about to say was that when they brought in this, you'll be seen in 4 hours. What actually happens is, apart from the stacking in the ambulances outside, which I did not know, which is absolutely ludicrous... If you've been in A&E for 3 hours and 59 minutes, in order to meet a government target, so that they have to see you in A&E in 4 hours, they will simply wheel you into the corridor so that you're not in A&E anymore. Isn't that amazing? Thereby meeting the government target. Let's have Canary Wharf. Hello, Daniel.
Hi there, you alright?
Yes, good, thanks.
Excellent. Just a couple of stories on the parking side of things, really. Yeah. All it is I'm a rep and I drive in London, and obviously have to park quite often. But, last year I had £1,000 worth of tickets.
Oh.
My boss told me the other day, which was nice of him to know. And just for example, I've filled obviously lots of them as well. But when I first started out, where you put your money in the meters,
yeah,
and you put a ticket on your dashboard, well, I didn't know then, but you're not supposed to obviously put money in and carry it on. So once, anyway, I appealed.
Oh, you mean feed the meter? When it comes to the end of your time, you're supposed to leave, not put more money in, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. So I got a ticket, and I appealed, Even though I fibbed, I just said, look, I forgot something, I had to go back. The same place was still available, so I parked in, went into my client's,
Right.
up and went again.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you're not supposed to go in the same zone within 2 hours, and we noticed that your valve caps are in the same position. And I thought, valve caps? I thought, oh, way. What's this about? No, and it's just... The thing is, I live in Essex as well, in Chelmsford, and I've noticed that the madness is spreading out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's just, my girlfriend's got a car, and then Monday to Friday it's parked there because she commutes into London, and she parked it there, and during the week they've extended the double yellow lines and given her a ticket.
Huh.
And it's like... Oh.
They drew them while she was parked there?
Yeah, her car was just up off the curb and on like a grass verge, and they've not chopped off the double yellow lines, but during the week, like, they've extended it, and obviously we've not noticed, and when it's come to Saturday, they just slapped a ticket on there.
Beautiful.
What's going on? What's going on in the world today?
I know. It's the majesty of the law in action. Thanks very much, Daniel.
Okay, take care.
And don't bogart that space. That's what that's about. You're supposed to pass it on, man. Wallington. Hello, Joan.
Hello, Nick.
Joan.
I didn't go.
You didn't go? You didn't go? This is our court correspondent. Joan has been going on a regular basis to the Diana trial. You didn't go today. Are you out of your mind?
I went twice last week. No, I couldn't face seeing Mohammed, face to face today. I mean, I've seen him in court.
Yeah.
I fired. I have seen him in court a lot of times, so I know what he looks like and all that. But
he's
I thought
he's as wide as he is tall.
He's small. Yes, he's quite small.
If you want to see him without actually seeing him, then there's a waxwork of him in his shop.
Oh, I heard.
Yeah. Oh, it's just every time I see it, I forget it's there, and you come on it, and I just burst out laughing every time.
Yes.
It's there on a plinth with a little rope around it.
Yeah, I felt he was going to be really. Oh, he was going to come over as obsessive and so on, and I thought,
Oh, he really let rip in there today.
I just going to wince and everything.
Yeah.
So I had lots of painting to do, and I had a great day clearing out and painting everything.
Painting? Are you a painter?
No, painting. Things.
Painting things.
Yeah.
What, like oranges, fruit?
Right,
nice bowl of flowers, something like that. What were you painting?
Well, I've had quite a few doors dipped recently.
Oh, yeah, I had that. My doors dipped, yeah. Very painful.
And actually, it was quite an emotional experience.
You had your doors dipped?
Yeah, to take all the old paint. And I... You see, when we first moved in, my husband did this idea of panelling the doors. Putting these big panels on.
Very sophisticated.
And it was awful, and I never liked it, but
like I said.
I just let it be. And eventually, just recently, I thought, they've got to come off. They have got to come off. I've done the ones downstairs already. And so it was, got the panels off, got the doors dipped, they're back to wood, and it's so exciting.
Huh.
I don't know what it is about going back to the natural wood, but it feels marvellous.
Yeah. It's organic.
It is organic, and then, of course, the thing is, where I'd painted round the door frames, the colour didn't look right, so I've had to alter all round the door frames.
I wish I hadn't asked now.
Boards and I'm practically redoing the whole house.
Really?
Know?
Please, tell me more.
Boring! I was going to say, there was a bit of a glimmer of hope about this business of, we were saying they're meeting targets and they have all these minor incidents. And you remember that I quoted two to you one day. And
what incidents?
Oh, picking people up for absolutely nothing. The police.
Oh, right, police targets.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I probably jumped.
A little bit of a jump.
A little bit of a jump. Mm-hmm. And anyway, today I heard this thing that they're going to tell police not to be concentrating on the minor incidents. And
I heard that too. Stop sweating the small stuff.
Yeah.
And just concentrate on people who are actually stabbing each other.
Yeah. Do you think they take any notice?
Well, if they're still subject to the same targets, as in numbers,
Yes,
if they're
then
still...
they won't take any notice.
If it's still, like, they look at it on a spreadsheet, and so that they're just numbers on a page rather than quantitative stats, just qualitative rather than quantitative.
Rather than quality.
Yeah, exactly. That's a much better way of putting it. Then, of course, they're going to do the easy things because it'll take them less time and it'll make them look good. Yeah.
I mean, there was a very complicated one I heard of recently, and it all went from just being stopped for overtaking a lorry, evidently a little bit aggressively or something, or ridiculous, and then the police said, "Oh, that you haven't sent your license back to have points put on it when you should have," and this person said, "Oh no, yes I did, and they quoted the time that he said, "Well, they're on my
guilty,"
and no, the points were already on there.
But but going back to this police thing, don't you find that a bit strange that they would even have to say that? I mean, to stop sweating the small stuff and concentrate on murders. I'd just assumed that they were going to be doing that anyway.
No, well, because of what we've all been noticing lately, they've actually had to say this. They've actually had to put out an announcement.
But that's ridiculous. I mean, surely in their spare time they can get people for dropping litter. But if people are being killed, then let's try and clear that up first. Not ignore the murders and pick up people for walking their dog where they shouldn't.
Oh yes, yeah. But
that's insane.
Well, it is insane, and it says something about what's happening to society, doesn't it?
What does it say?
It says that. Oh, it says that they don't like ordinary nice people.
It says something, but we don't know what it is.
I know what it is.
Oh, I see.
It reminds me, actually, a lot of this. You know, where they're cutting out the rail police and they're putting other police here, and they're saying, "Oh, they're going to be more helpful to the public."
Yeah.
And as you said, they're paying them practically as much anyway. So why do this?
Apparently, well, the reason is apparently because it costs less to train them.
Well, look, they've both got to be trained.
Well, not really. Are there any, what do they call them? Community support officers. Any community support officers are listening to this right now? What kind of training do you undergo? Give us a ring. 0845 6060 973. A lot of people keen to know. Maybe I read that number out too quickly. They didn't note it down in their little pads. 0845 6060 973.
Right.
They're licking their pencil.
What I was going to say was that I know this is going to sound very grim, but at the same time, we shouldn't be having anything that sounds similar. And that is when, in Italy, there was a time when they suddenly put on these different police in the street with exactly the same reason.
Yeah.
What were they called?
I don't know.
Black shirts, or was that just the most of that?
Black shirts?
Well, yeah, because they had this special uniform.
Yeah, I very much doubt they were called black shirts.
No,
Joan, we're running out of time. Can you nutshell it for us?
Okay, yes, but they were put on the street, supposed to be very helpful to the general public,
15
and
seconds.
they turned out to be actually very, very, very political.
Right. Right, like the black shirts, yeah.
Very nice.
Joan, I've got to go. But
Bye-bye.
cheers, my dear. All right.
Bye.
This is LBC 97.3.
LBC 97.
And I can't stand him.
Amy Winehouse is going to need methadone for the Brits. I had no idea it was going to be so boring. I need that for get through the Oscars. I'm on about 3 pints of methadone per award ceremony now, man. Here is Catford. Hello, Angela.
Hiya.
Angela.
Hi.
Hello, Angela.
Hiya.
Yes, Angela. What's on your mind?
I'm just replying, really, to you making a statement saying people only turn up in A&E because they're desperate. But I've worked in A&E for a few years now, and I think sometimes some of the people who come there use the service inappropriately, because they might have a symptoms or an ailment for like 3 weeks and they've not gone to their GP.
Yeah.
They turn up in A&E, so the really sick people, they get delayed being seen because time's got to be spent seeing people who could have gone to their GP.
Right.
And that puts a strain on the service, and it also slows down the service. I also think the 4 hours target is a good thing as well for the patients, because they're seen, treated and discharged or admitted much sooner.
Well, apparently not. Apparently this 4 hours is causing all sorts of problems, that people are being shunted into different parts of the hospital so they're not in A&E anymore, and they're being kept outside in ambulances. Have you experienced that people are kept outside waiting in the car park in an ambulance?
No, that doesn't happen,
Well, it does.
Well, not from my personal experience. I can only speak from personal experience. Yeah, and that's all I can go off. But I think it's good for the patients because they're not sitting on trolleys, they're not sat there waiting. Because, like I said, I've worked there for worked in the A&E department for a few years, and before the 4-hour target came in, I've actually gone off a late shift and sometimes come back and see patients still sat there, waiting for minor injury treatment.
Yeah.
And with, primary care suites and stuff, that really, really contributes.
You see the public in I was going to say in extremis, that's not quite right. You see them at the end of their tether.
No, I wouldn't say we see them at the end of their tether. They come because to them their ailment is important.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is they could actually help to use the service properly by actually going to their doctors, their GP, who could actually treat them much sooner. They sit on their symptoms for like 3-4 weeks or a month.
So right. And so, but in a nutshell, Angela, aren't people awful? I mean, you must see
I don't think people are awful. Because
dreadful, awful people.
No, I don't think that at all. Because to everybody, their sickness or illness is, to them, that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter somebody who might be dying and they might have a cut finger, but to them, that cut finger might be the most important. So it's how individuals think. But I think it's re-education, really. A lot of people need re-educating how to use the emergency services, because they also use the ambulance service inappropriately.
Yeah, they do. Well, there's this story here about a woman who called for an ambulance more than 1,100 times in 3 years. She's been banned from dialing 999 for 6 months.
Well, I think so. We had...
what an idiot.
I've seen a patient turn up in A&E in an ambulance, and what happened, he went to have a bath, put a paper bag over his plaster, some water seeped into his plaster, so he got an ambulance to the hospital. And all he had to do was turn up the next day to have his plaster changed.
Right.
And he said, well, why did you call an ambulance? Oh, I couldn't afford to get on the bus.
Oh.
And that's inappropriate.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. People, they're just awful, aren't they?
Well, I don't know,
yes?
but like I said, to them it's important, but they're just not thinking of how to use the service.
Because they're stupid. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
Cheers, ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. Can you believe that? 1,100 times in 3 years. Been banned from dialing 999 for 6 months. She'll have to get someone else to phone in a real emergency after costing a London ambulance service an estimated, guess how much? That's right.
8,000.
£240,000.
What?
Woolwich magistrates gave her a 28-day jail sentence, suspended for 6 months. So, in other words, they didn't give her anything at all. A jail sentence suspended for 6 months, that's nothing, right? She just waltzes out with a smile on her face. That's no time inside. If it's suspended, then it's no jail sentence at all, correct? So we, us dopes who pay all the tax, it cost us 240 grand, £240,000, practically £250,000, and her punishment was nothing at all. Oh, I'm happy to pay my tax. How about you?
No.
Let's have Enfield. Hi, Frankie.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good show. Angela's covered most of the points I wanted to talk to you about, as she also works in accident and emergency like me.
Yeah.
The 4-hour computerized system was designed that you are seen, treated and discharged within the 4-hour period. And the patients are not allowed to breach that 4 hours unless, there's a clinical reason why that happens.
Well, I thought that you just had to be seen, not discharged.
No. The computer system in my accident and emergency operates on it. It starts a clock the minute you get admitted to the department from the reception. And then after 140 minutes, the computer flashes all sorts of signs at you that the patient...
Warning! Warning! Yes.
So the rule is of the department is the patient is seen, triaged, admitted, seen by a clinician, either discharged or admitted to a ward within the 4 hours.
Oh, I'd love to be triaged.
Well, come to my A&E and I'll triage you with pleasure. But that's how the system works.
I'll set 4 hours aside. I'll do it tomorrow.
So it's not that you're sitting there waiting 4 hours to be seen.
Right.
You're triaged on admission, and then you are seen by the doctors and nurses, CTs, the care of the patient, and then a decision to discharge or admit is taken within a 140-minute period.
Right.
And you're not allowed to electronically track the patient to anywhere else in the department. That's a disciplinary offence.
Nasty.
You can't track the patient electronically so that the computer doesn't breach. That is not allowed and is against the rules.
Right.
So it's in and out within 4 hours.
Whether you're shaking it about or not.
Well,
makes no difference.
if the clinical need that you have to be admitted, well, then you're admitted to a ward, and then you don't breach the 4-hour wait.
No. Okay, well, thanks for setting me straight, Frankie.
That point quite clear to your listeners.
Right.
That you are seen, treated and admitted within a 4-hour deadline.
Right.
Otherwise, the chief exec gets a note, and we have to go and justify why the patient waited more than 4 hours.
Right. And is the chief exec a bit of a...
Well, he can be a bit of a stickler for keeping the government targets. I mean, our hospital actually reached 96%.
That's a fail, isn't it?
No, well, it is a fail, I suppose. But there are certain patients that do need more intervention than 4 hours.
Right.
And also the suitability of the transfer to a ward, availability of beds, etc. But, the 4-hour wait, it's not a wait, it's a 4-hour in and out treated and discharged or admitted.
OK, thanks for setting us straight, Frankie.
Thanks a lot.
Ta-ra, 0845 6060 973. What's triage? It sounds like
I
don't know. It sounds like there's 3 of it. Whatever it is.
It's the bit where the nurse sees you, isn't it?
Does it take place in an arboretum?
I don't know what's one of those.
Sutton, hello, Saba.
Hi, Nick.
Is it Saba?
Yes, Saba. I was just going back to your earlier point about parking tickets, and I'm in agreement with your previous callers.
Oh, yeah.
I think any parking or traffic violation you should contest. I contested a traffic violation with Camden, and because they took over 9 months to come back to me, they actually revoked it.
What did you do?
Well, they caught me on camera for what they said was a U-turn.
Now that's just awful, isn't it? Why aren't you? If it's safe to do so, you should be able to do a U-turn, because you get caught up in one-way systems and you don't know where you are, and that really upsets me.
I was quite proud of myself because people don't really do U-turns these days. But more to...
What, you're proud of yourself for having negotiated a U-turn?
Absolutely.
Oh, right, so you turned the wheel lock all the way over and kept your foot on the pedal. Well done.
Yep, thank you. But more to a current point, I'm actually at the moment protesting a parking ticket with Wandsworth Council.
Yes.
And it's a bit of a weird one because it was actually New Year's Eve in the evening. I parked in a white box.
On New Year's Eve?
On New Year's Eve.
Isn't that great? They never rest.
No, they don't. But I parked in a box where parking was 10 till 4, and there were 2 traffic wardens stood there as I parked. They kind of looked at me and smiled. But it gets better. They looked at me and smiled, and I kind of thought, well, that's okay, because if I've done something wrong, surely they would tell me.
Exactly,
traffic wardens did that. Anyway, I came back within 5 minutes. There was a parking ticket on the window, and there were 2 parking attendants sat on a wall opposite, chatting away and
having a fag. Yeah.
I was quite appalled, and I asked them why they'd done me, and they said, oh, it's because there's a yellow line, you can't park there. So I was just really angry. I sat them in my car, and I thought, well, they could have told me when I parked there in the first place. So I took a couple of pictures of them with my mobile phone.
Did you?
Yep, one of them ran away, the other one came running over and started accosting me, and I don't know, I kind of stand up for myself, so I had a go at him, and I said, look, you could have told me. I said, and then he started saying, you've got to delete the picture. You've got no right to take a picture of me. So I said, look, this is my phone. What I do is my business. in the same way as you put a ticket on my window, I have the right to take a picture of you. And then he started saying, oh, I'm going to lose my job, and you don't realise. But the best thing was he turned around and said to me, have you got no heart? It's New Year's Eve. So I don't know the outcome, but I have contested it, and I actually phoned up one's account, so I've got a reference number to say I want to make a complaint.
Oh, a reference number, that'll do you a power of good, yeah.
You never
You want to write that down, yeah.
I do.
Sabah, it's a beautiful story, and I hope it comes out well. Let us know if it does, all right?
I will do.
Cheers,
Thanks,
minute. Ta-ra.
Nick.
0845 6060 973. This is LBC. It's 9:16. Travel now with Steve Reed.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Just hearing of a problem in the...
Right, so what are we doing?
Carol, I'm doing the Film Club Live Read. How would you like to be a member of the LBC 97.3 Film Club with Cineworld Cinemas and see the best films first and for free? This month's movie is The Bank Job. It's a highly charged thriller based on a true story about an unsolved robbery which has links to the royal family. Jason Statham is in it, and Saffron Burrows too. For your chance to see this film and others, just go to the website, which is lbc.co.uk, and you can sign up there for the VIP club, the LBC 97.3 Film Club, with Cineworld Cinemas. You know, right at the top of the programme, I was talking about global warming and how it is not happening. Now, you may think that this has been a particularly warm winter, and here it has been. Apart from just lately, where it's plunged to, I think it's going to go down to -10, isn't it? It's bloomin' freezing out there right now. But during the day, it's, so lovely. But the rest of the world, the bits that count, are having the coldest winter in decades. Did you know that? No, Nick, I didn't know that. Please go on. Oh, thanks, Alex. It's a nice cup of tea. Just have a quick tea. Appalling.
Can I have that in... Oh, I was going to say, can I have it in writing?
Yes, you can. Get me a pen. Tastes like fish. New evidence has cast doubt on claims that the world's ice caps are melting, it emerged last night. Now, I'm sure that this is the sort of information that they don't want to tell you, because this will confuse the issue. Hang on a minute, they'll say, if global warming isn't happening and the Earth is actually getting colder, can we continue to burn our nice light bulbs, please? And can we all go and buy a car that's got an engine bigger than a sewing machine? I was sitting in traffic today, and, you know, since Ken has put in this idea about the CO2 emissions tax to, 25 quid to drive in the centre of town if you've got an engine that's bigger than a pedalo. And you sit behind cars and they're 4.5 litre this and 5.5 litre that and 6 litre the other, and I was thinking... Why? Why do you need all that power? What's the point of all of that power? Like, you can do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, but when are you ever going to use that? When are you ever going to use that? What is the point of the 0 to 60 statistic? At no point could you conceivably use that in the entire life of your car. When could you use that? What?
Merging onto a motorway.
No, that's not 0 to 60.
And it can be. It
not
could be
0 to 60.
Sometimes you're stuck in a queue and then you have to
No. 0 to 60 would be from a traffic light, blasting away. For what? Why? And what traffic light would be on a road that you could reach 60 on? None.
What if you needed to reach... I'm not even going to say it's ridiculous.
Well, shut up, then. I'm right about that. On the other hand, I want one. So does every bloke. Blokes don't want to have a little car that's got a tiny little motor in the back that could barely drive one of those little bikes people deliver pizzas on. That's pathetic. We want great, muscly... manly engines that do way more than we could possibly ever use. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's just good to know you've got it in reserve in case you were being chased or something.
How many litres
Chased?
How many litres have you got, Nick? Let's compare.
Yeah, a very, very small amount. It's tiny.
I don't suppose we're looking at 10 inches.
No. New evidence has cast doubt on claims that the world's ice caps are melting. Satellite data shows that concerns over the levels of sea ice may have been premature. It was feared that the polar caps were vanishing because of the effects of global warming, but figures from the respected U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration... Ring, ring. Hello, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Shit, what a job that must be. How can I help you? I hope she doesn't get many calls, really. I mean, people should write. Anyway, this NOAA, show that almost all the lost ice has come back. Are you listening to this? Ice levels, which had shrunk from 13 million square kilometres in January 2007 to just 4 million in October, are almost back to their original levels. Figures show that there is nearly a third more ice in Antarctica than is usual for the time of year. They got more ice than usual, not less. The data flies in the face of many current thinkers and will be seized on by climate change skeptics who deny that the world is undergoing global warming. A photograph of polar bears clinging onto a melting iceberg. Oh, that's the actual noise that they make. That was a polar bear yesterday. Has become one of the most enduring images in the campaign against climate change. Poor little fluffy you think, poor little fluffy things. They'd rip your throat out if you let them. It was used by former US Vice President Al Gore during his Inconvenient Truth lectures about mankind's impact on the world. I still haven't seen that film. Well, it still hasn't come around on Sky. Other satellite subscribers are available. Actually, that's not true, is it? Is it? You've got to have a
you mean other multi-channel distribution services?
That's right,
available?
Yeah. No, Sky have got the Sky, haven't they? It's like they bought the Sky. Like some giant James Bond villain. No, I pay so much for that thing. I refuse to go to the cinema. I won't do it. I'm going to wait till it comes to me.
Are they shooting down that satellite now?
I hope so, yeah.
What happens if the missile goes off course and lands in Russia or something?
Fortunately, they're going to use that patented NASA technology.
Oh, no!
Yeah. One of those smart missiles, you know.
That knocks on your door before it blows you up.
Yeah, that's
Why
right.
don't they just go into space and turn it off?
Turn it off. It was used by... I've read that bit. Scientists say that the Northern Hemisphere has endured its coldest winter in decades. You believe that? They add that snow covers across the... Wait a minute. They add that snow cover across the area is at its greatest since 1966. There's no such thing as global warming. Finally, we get to the truth. The one exception is Western Europe, right here, which has, until the weekend, when temperatures plunged to as low as -10, been basking in unseasonably warm weather. The UK has reported one of the warmest winters on record. We're getting one of the warmest here. Isn't that incredible? And everybody else is getting the coldest. A tiny pocket of warmth and loveliness is centred over us. That's got to be the first time in history that that's ever happened. However, vast swathes of the world have suffered chaos because of some of the heaviest snowfalls in decades. Central and southern China, the USA and Canada, hard hit by snowstorms. Even the Middle East saw snow. In Jerusalem, Damascus, Amman and northern Saudi Arabia reporting the heaviest falls in years and below zero temperatures. While in Afghanistan, snow and freezing weather killed 120 people. In Britain, the balmy February weather came to an abrupt end at the weekend as temperatures plunged to -10 Celsius in central England. Experts believe that this month could end up as being one of the coldest Februaries in Britain in the past 10 years because of that freezing nighttime temperature. So it seems nice and pleasant in the sunshine during the day, but actually, if you take the average over day and night, it's going to be one of the coldest. Freezing nighttime conditions look likely to stay at around -8 until at least the middle of the week. Met Office spokesman said there's been little or no cloud cover across England and Wales, hence all the sun, but of course at night that means that there's a huge capacity for the heat to escape. It's been warmer in Scotland, but that's because it's been cloudy there. Until the weekend, temperatures were in the 14s and the 15s. We'll see a return to that later this week, although it will start to get wetter. So it'll get wetter, but warmer. Moist and warm. My favourite conditions to be in. So isn't that interesting?
No.
Oh. Right. Well, what a waste of time that was then. This is LBC 97.3, coming up towards 9:30. This is LBC 97.3 on your FM dial. It is 9:30.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. Oh, hey, the Terminator thing is starting on Thursday.
Yeah.
On Virgin, I think. It'll be the only thing worth watching on that channel. I tried to watch something on that channel. I think Eddie Izzard was in it. Eddie Izzard and Minnie Driver, which was...
The Riches.
Yeah, Minnie Driver. I always end up in the river when I use my Minnie Driver. Always shoots off at a 50-degree angle from where I intend the ball to go. I'm never using that club again. That was rubbish, that programme. Eddie Izzard, great on stage as a stand-up, can't act to save his life. Well, he couldn't in that. It was terrible. It was putting on an American accent. Why do Americans hire British people and then have them speak an American accent? Why don't they just hire an American? That just doesn't make any sense at all. Because it always sounds phony, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds bad to us, but to Americans it must sound terrible. Because when an American does an English accent, awful. Although Mike Myers can sort of do it, but he's Canadian and grew up here.
Yeah, but he does a rubbish faux Scottish accent, though, doesn't he?
Well, I don't know. I laugh out loud when Mr. Fat can't say the next word.
Bleep.
Yeah. Bleep, bleep. I eat babies. I think it's about time I saw those films again. Laugh out loud funny.
Yes.
But, no, I'm quite excited about the Terminator thing on TV. I think it's Thursday... What time does it start?
6:18 p.m.
Oh, right. Huh. How long does it last?
2 hours and 53 minutes.
Oh, right.
What is it, the Sarah Connor Chronicles or something?
Affirmative.
So it's going to be really dull, isn't it?
Correct.
Loughton. Hello, Sue.
Hello. I'm phoning you. I've just come in, basically. I was leaving work. We've got a psychotherapy unit in South Woodford, and I heard one of your callers say, that there's a 4-hour turnaround when people go into triage or into the hospital casualty.
Can I ask you a question about this?
Yeah.
What's triage?
I can't answer that one accurately. I'm really sorry. That wasn't what I was phoning for.
Because you'd have to kill me?
I would if I told you the answer. I would like to.
Right.
No, seriously. While I was phoning, I never ever do phone. It was just, I was told today, funnily enough by a client, that the reason you have to wait, if you call an ambulance, and I've had an experience of this recently, I've got an 85-year-old father-in-law with Parkinson's who called an ambulance a week before Christmas, had to wait for hours. The reason the ambulances don't come is because in order to uphold this 4-hour turnaround that your caller was talking about, they have all the ambulances sitting in a waiting holding bay, and inside each ambulance is a patient. The 4 hours is counted by all accounts from the minute or the second they cross over the door and they have been registered with a person at the casualty.
Right.
So they might be sitting in the ambulances for anything up to 5 or 6 hours by all accounts.
Yeah.
Purely to uphold their 4-hour turnaround. So unless they're going to look at the whole picture, and when you phone up or anyone you know knows they need an ambulance and they've got to wait for a long time, that is the reason, because just to make sure they can tick all the boxes for the government, inside all these ambulances are patients waiting outside casualty rather than going inside. It could be freezing cold, but they're outside right at this minute.
So unless you really need an ambulance, you'd be better off calling a cab.
I'm not certain about that. I know in the case of my father-in-law, that wouldn't have worked. But
Right.
there might be something. It used to be known that if you went by ambulance, that they'd actually cut you through to the front. So lots of people who didn't need an ambulance,
right.
gone by car, I believe in the past used to phone up the ambulance. But now, to make sure that they tick all the boxes of this 4-hour turnaround, and I've only just found this out, they sit in the ambulances directly outside waiting until...
And did you say that you work in A&E?
No, I happen to be a psychotherapist.
Right.
But funnily enough, it was one of my clients I was just talking to today, and they happened to talk exactly about this. And I said, oh, I've learnt something. And when I got in the car to come home tonight and I heard your caller talking about the 4-hour turnaround, I just wanted to give you a little bit of the education that I had today, that by all accounts, that all these ambulances have got patients waiting in them.
Yes. Well, isn't that shocking? It's just hard to believe, but that's what's printed in the newspaper today as well. You're a psychotherapist, Sue.
I am indeed.
I wake up at night screaming that witches are eating my feet.
Do you? Do you want me to explain that to you? Shall I give you the purest analysis of what that's about?
Okay.
Okay. Now, if we're going to listen
It's not.
to Jung
It's
here,
not me, by the way. This is this. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Whoa. Sue. Sue.
Yeah.
It's not me. I just said that off the top of my head, but somebody else who's dead now.
I'm sorry, Nick. I heard you say that it was you.
Well, I know, yeah. But a friend of mine.
Let me explain.
Go on, then.
Jung says that we are all parts of our dreams. That means you are both the witches and the feet.
Right.
Does that mean you are all parts of the dream? I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but does that make sense to you? Not if it wasn't your dream. I guess it doesn't make sense at all.
No, not really. And our time is up.
Take care.
Thanks, Sue.
Bye.
That was, or maybe I shouldn't say. That was somebody very famous who I interviewed once. Oh, he's dead now. What difference does it make? Kenny Everett. I think he was, he got hooked on prescription pills, and he had a bad time on them. And, he said to me, I don't know if he was just joking or making it up, he said he used to wake up at night having dreamt that witches with little long teeth were eating his feet. Isn't that awful? You can only imagine what Amy Winehouse wakes up at night with. Clay Hall, Paul.
Hello there.
Hey, Paul.
Fantastic show so far.
Oh, cheers.
Okay, let me just tell you a story that happened about 4 or 5 years ago to us. We run a transport company, and we have to keep records of all our drivers. One day we received a summons, one of these letters from the police asking us to name a driver who'd actually been somewhere in North London, Finchley or somewhere, and, we checked through our records and found indeed we did have a driver there. Pulled the driver up, asked him what he was doing. He said he got lost, just pulled over for a second or two to find out, get his bearings from the A to Z. Saw a traffic warden coming in front of, towards him from the front, who was about to cross the road. He did a U-turn and left. Now, we all know that they can't prosecute for a parking fine if they don't have your tax disc.
Right. That's what I'm hoping for.
4 or 5 weeks later, we received a summons from the police asking us to name the driver. Now, we checked through, gave the name of the driver, received a court summons asking for the driver to attend. Now, this traffic warden must have gone to the police. They accused us, or they accused the driver, of obstructing an alleyway which led off one of the roads. And the driver saw blind. He hadn't parked there, but, the police said he had, so we had to go to court. Now, they went all the way to court, the driver did. Up there, the local beak, who it came up above, threw the case at court. All because, although I'd given all the details on the police form, I'd forgotten to sign the piece of paper.
Yeah, a technicality, eh?
A technicality.
Right.
So one way of getting at it is you can do whatever you like. Just give your name and address if you haven't signed it, and if they haven't done anything within 6 months to correct that mistake. If it goes up court, they don't see a signature. They won't do nothing about it. They can't do nothing about it.
All right, I'll hold on. I'll hold on to that with hope. Thanks, Paul.
No problem.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. Other things I'd like to talk about today. We're rapidly running out of time. Well, there's MPs. Oh, blimey, what's the word?
Expenses?
Well, yeah, but their personal standing in the world. What's that? Their,
stature?
No. You know, they're, I can't believe I got stuck on this. MPs, well, what is it when you libel somebody? Their character. Oh, I'll just go with character. I'll just go with character. MPs' character are being called into question, left, right, and centre. Can we assume that they're all on the take and then just move on? And it's a bit long to get into now. I've only got 15 minutes left. Maybe I'll do this tomorrow, and then we can all call up and heap praise or opprobrium, as the case may be, on the people that represent us. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that tomorrow, because we're running out now. Uxbridge, hello, John.
Oh, hello, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Lovely. I couldn't have you going to bed without you knowing what triage or triage actually means.
Yes.
Apparently, we can blame the French for it. It's from a French word, to sort. And Napoleon used to work out which troops he could save to let fight another day, and which ones he would let lie and bleed to death on the battlefield, not unlike casualty on a Saturday night.
Right. So triage is just the sorting process when you go in?
That's it, yeah.
Right.
Can we leave you for 4 hours, or will we need to move you quickly because the cleaner will complain about the mess?
Yes. All right. Thanks for that, John.
That's all right. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Ta-ra.
Bye.
This is LBC 97.3. It's 9:44. Travel now with Steve Reed.
Thank you, Nick. Now the
North London. Hello, Pete.
Hi there. You spoke to a gentleman a couple of minutes ago about signing was it a speeding ticket?
Parking, I think.
I was parking. Well, I've had 4 speeding tickets over the last year, and it's the same case with that, because they've sent them back to me and asked me to sign them, but I've refused to sign them. I've sent them back to the authorities, and I've never heard anything back.
So, I'm a bit confused about that. So they send you a ticket, and you have to sign it?
A speeding ticket, you know, when they take pictures from behind, and I've got to identify the driver.
Right.
Because I own a few company cars, I put on the top of the form that, yes, I am the owner of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And they asked me to sign them at the bottom, but I've refused to sign them.
Right.
And sent them back off to the authorities. They sent them back to me and said, you know, you've got to sign them. And I said, sorry, I'm refusing to sign them because I'm... don't want to, so I sent them back, and I never hear anymore.
Because you don't want to.
No.
And that's good enough.
Apparently, if you sign something, it's official.
Right.
It basically says you're guilty.
Well, the police themselves got away with this. Just recently, there's quite a famous case of some policemen got caught doing... Oh, I can't remember the exact speed, so I'll make it up. 100 miles an hour in a 15 zone.
North Circular?
I can't remember. But because they couldn't identify who was driving, they said, "Oh, well, it could have been anybody." I mean, they could have found out. I mean, they must know who's in each car, but they said that they didn't, so they got away with it.
Well, with me, because they're company cars, they told me I have to keep a log.
Yeah.
But I can't keep a log on every driver using every one of the cars, because so many people in and out of the cars, it's very hard to identify who's actually driving it.
Well, that's a likely story, Pete, but I'll believe you. Thanks a lot.
So if they don't sign it, then, you know, you're likely to get away with it.
Right. OK, thank you.
Thank you.
0845 6060 973. The people shouldn't be speeding. The entire pace of life has gone up and up, and it's actually killing us. Are you aware of this? Millions of us are in danger of meltdown because we race through life at breakneck speed, psychologists warned yesterday. They fear that we could do serious damage to our health and relationships unless we slow down. A study revealed that scores of us are bolting down our evening meal in less than 10 minutes. Others are hurrying through lovemaking in just 2 minutes. Workers are also frittering...
Some of us can't help that, Nick.
Workers are also frittering their monthly wages well before the next payday. The study examined the speed at which Britons complete a range of everyday tasks, such as eating, spending money and having sex. Is that a task? A task? I wouldn't say it was a task.
Which one?
The startling results indicate that we are doing things faster than ever and demanding instant gratification. Almost 1 in 5 workers spend their entire monthly salary in the first week. And almost half run out of money before payday. Well, If you spent your entire monthly salary in the first week, what do you do for the following 3 weeks? Put it all on the plastic. Yeah. And in stark contrast to our European neighbours, a fifth of Britons spend 10 minutes or less eating a typical evening meal. I think that is actually a curse on our society, is the way we treat the evening meal. And I think there's a lot of things that you would associate with that we're sort of missing here. A part of it is the family. Well, and what families actually sit down around a dining table and eat an evening meal together now? Do they even exist anymore? That aren't, on The Sopranos? An actual family in real life, in this country.
My brother still does it.
Right.
So there's one.
One, okay. Write that down.
Yeah.
In case we forget. 1. Put the number 1 down on a piece of paper.
1.
Almost half finished dinner in less than 15 minutes, which presumably is a lot less than it took to make it. Psychologist Honey Lancaster James said, "We are now living at a crazy pace." Honey. There's a real danger people are heading for a meltdown unless we slow down and realise that there are only so many hours in the day in which to get everything done, he said. She said. He, yes. No, it's got to be a she. If Britons continue to live their lives at such a speed, they risk a number of potentially serious consequences. Our health is at risk if we don't take steps to manage our time more effectively. Slow down. Relax. Concentrate on your breathing. Deep breath in and out. Needs some work. Hey, the Brits are on Wednesday. We're going to be having a report live from the Brits. Everyone's very excited, including the record companies, who can see pound signs in their eyes when the mere mention of the word the Brits. Beleaguered record company executives are banking on this week's Brits Awards to more than double the sales for nominated artists, including Mika, Leona Lewis and the Klaxons. There's a lot of people in here I really have got no idea what they're like. I've turned into my dad. Figures released yesterday showed that last year's event, broadcast live for the first time since 1989, helped generate an additional £4 million in sales over 6 weeks. Overall, album sales were up by 25% during the period. Some saw their sales just go through the roof. In 2007, the big winners included Take That and the Arctic Monkeys. They featured on the show. Performers, nominees and winners outperformed the market by a factor of 9-1. So in other words, you get on this show, you're going to sell 9 times as many records as if you hadn't been on this programme. On average, Brits nominees and performers saw a sales lift of 82%, with 9 artists like Snow Patrol, the Chili Peppers, Orson. I've never heard of them. Orson. Who are they?
Sang a song called My Bright Idea, something like that.
That's very good. Never heard of it. The Killers and Oasis more than doubled their sales as a result. But on average, that is incredible. What an advert for the music business. 82% sales lift from one day to the next just by being on the Brits. Despite ending the night empty-handed, Snow Patrol saw album sales jump by 121% in the week of the awards. Isn't that incredible? So people say that, the Brits, but really the nation is wrapped. This year, Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne are going to be taking over as hosts.
Oh, no!
And it's going to be live. Anything could happen. Cost-cutting is still underway at all the major labels, particularly EMI, where 2,000 job cuts and a clampdown on expenses. Expenses like fruit and flowers, which is industry talk for, That's right. They are dropping the proportion of attendees. They're sending many fewer people. The record industry is still mired in turmoil after failing to react quickly after the onset of the digital age and proving unable to deal with the surge in digital piracy. I think that the speed at which things are changing is taking everybody by surprise. Even people who could see it coming have still not put their defences in place. It's only kids, basically. They've taken over the world. It used to be, and not very long ago either, it used to be, fat old men in pinstripe suits and bowler hats with furled umbrellas who ran the world, who made all these giant corporations from nothing, built them up over a period of 50, 100 years, kept them in the family, and suddenly they were worth billions and billions of pounds. Nowadays, some bloke who never combs his hair, or indeed goes out, can make a company that's worth more than Ford in an afternoon. Isn't that amazing? I mean, you just can't even conceive of such a thing. I mean, the Yahoo bloke, he's 12. And those guys that do Google, they're barely out of school. And they've got all the money that Rupert Murdoch doesn't own. In fact, Rupert Murdoch must be really narked at all these people, don't you think? Because he's, like, through blood and sweat and other people's tears, has built his company to the giant monolith that it is, and he's still being beaten by two guys who come to work on a skateboard. It must be galling. Anyway, there's just a little bit more of this. With Take That, Mika and Leona Lewis. Who's that?
Wasn't she the, pop idol, or whatever it was, X Factor?
They're among the most nominated artists. This year's Brit Awards has been billed as marking the return of pop. I had no idea it went away. Mark Ronson, Kylie Minogue and Rihanna are among those expected to perform, with Sir Paul McCartney closing the show after accepting an Outstanding Contribution Award. And 10 pence.
For a cup of tea.
Yeah, you've got 10 pence. Chief Executive of Sony has vowed to overhaul the image of the awards. He plans to appoint a high-profile artist to chair the 1,000-strong Academy that votes for most of the awards. I had no idea. So it's like the Academy. They have over 1,000 people vote on these things. I thought it was just a couple of people that said, all right, you, and you, and you. But it's much more democratic than that. So anyway, all that's happening on Wednesday. There's something to look forward to. We'll be having reports live on this show. Not any old show. This one right here. Now, it's that time again. So, Raj.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can manage to squeeze it all in. What have we talked about tonight?
We talked about living too fast.
Yes.
We all have to slow down because we're all going to die otherwise.
Yep.
Conserving. Mobile phone cancer.
Yes.
Vitamin pills.
Mm-hmm.
Of which you're on about 10 a day now, are you?
Yeah, about 10 a day now, man, yeah.
Science. Intangibles. Cell phones.
Science?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but carry on.
It was, generally speaking,
science, right.
Increased mortality,
yes.
Global warming, which apparently doesn't even exist anymore.
No.
It's all a big lie.
Yeah, must go faster.
Overpopulation, carbon neutrality.
Carbon what?
Neutrality.
What?
Neutral carbons.
You're rubbish at this.
We're living like a Botswanian.
Fresh out of time. LBC.
For the